Hello and welcome to the newest update video for Matter, or as I'd like to now call it, Monolith. A new start to a new year in terms of the summer, and as E3 has just passed, we saw Matter, the completely unrelated game, non-first-person shooter, non-zombie genre, more of an action-paced, I think it is a first-person perspective, unfortunately using the same name. So with that there comes the marketing issues, and so we're now renaming Matter Monolith. And a little bit of reasoning behind that is the initial subplot. The subplot to Matter has changed significantly since it was first conceived. We abolished the single-player campaign mode. We now have a single to 5-player online, theoretically. And so we're reusing an aspect from the single-player campaign concept in terms of the origins of the game as part of the logo and the new title. So what does this all mean? Well, Matter was always going to be about sort of some experimental facility from which a zombie outbreak is conceived, and you can see that in Resident Evil and all the other brands, and we sort of wanted to make it more unique. So the idea of having a remote island where the remnants of a dystopic, what was the terminology I used? I used a separate microcosm, or a disconnected microcosm of some experimental scientists create this zombie infection. And so this idea of a monolith as an ominous sort of entity under which the zombie mechanic is, or the zombie origins stem from, we thought it was quite a nice idea. And so yes, I've worked on the logo a bit today. I'm not sure whether I'll keep that, but I actually quite like it. And so to do this, I took a leaf out of the book of Left 4 Dead, Call of Duty, Wolfire's logo itself, the company, and a few other games. And I really like Wolfire and Left 4 Dead. I think they're both really clever, both game and company. I think Overgrowth is going to be very good. I'm very much looking forward to seeing it released. But yeah, we had to redefine, as we restarted our game project, what we wanted to achieve. Since last year, and the year before, we've considerably modified the plot, gameplay mechanics, and the backstory to the game. So first things first, let's look at the gameplay mechanics which have changed. Firstly, weapons. Originally, weapons were going to be special weapons and non-special weapons, and they would be used in their intended purpose, or for their intended purpose, to kill zombies. And we thought about this, and I thought about this today. I was talking to Joseph Claderick, as our team is now consisting of 3 or 4 people at the max. And yes, these weapons should be more than just killing zombies. I think it needs to be something special to the game. So we've decided that we're also going to have interactive map elements. This is things like lights, windows, things you can shoot, basically, that aren't human or zombie. And the reason for this is we looked at what we want the users to experience when they're playing our game. So firstly, I decided that if any of you guys have seen The Truman Show, it's a film about how someone realises they are the subject of a TV series and their whole life has been a lie, or subject of a virtual reality a reality TV series. And I wanted to create the same feeling that you are within someone else's game or within someone else's reality. So what we are doing, or what I've decided we're going to do, is we're going to have this whole concept of things not adding up. So for starters, the game is going to be randomized in the sense that all binary states, such as door states, lighting, and item statuses of boxes like crates, are random. They can be on or off, true or false. Also, we're going to have randomized spawn locations, so you never spawn in the same place through a match. And I want to create a very confusing, or a very non-linear gameplay, because otherwise it will become very much a copy of any other zombie game you can see out there. So essentially, we have the idea of lighting, and we looked at the zombie mechanics as a whole and decided that there needs to be more than just shooting undead people, because they could be any form of AI. It's just a behaviour you're changing. So we decided to base the artificial intelligence off having characteristics or sensory characteristics, which Joseph is currently working on at the moment. This means that zombies will have sight, sound, and potentially smell. I'm not sure about smell yet. And touch as well, theoretically. And what this means is that the subclass of zombie, or the base class, will have all of these characteristics enabled or disabled, and then your subclasses which take the base class zombie, such as, let's say, a running zombie or a blind zombie, and they will have varying combinations of these sensory characteristics. So in one sense, you'll have a zombie which may be blind, but have a very strong sense of hearing. This means that we can do two things. Firstly, things like weapon sounds will attract zombies within the game. So it means we can have large maps without having to worry about making the zombies teleport to other sides of the maps and do weird, non-realistic behavioural characteristics. But the other thing we can do is have in-game, in tight maps, modifying how the game is played. So for example, if you can shoot out lights, then you could disable a lighting in one such area, and it would be disabled for the rest of the game. This could be of your benefit or to your detriment. Firstly, if it means that if most of your zombies have sight as a sensory parameter, they suddenly become incredibly difficult to they will find it difficult to find you and attack you. However, this does mean that you cannot see anything in return, and it does mean that in those circumstances, any zombies which aren't akin or naturally adept with their vision means that they will be very good in this new state because they can hear you better than you can see them. So it becomes very much a game of weighing up the circumstances, and that's what we want to create. It needs to be a more thought-based process. The other thing that we thought about, apart from those specific characteristics, is the way in which you play through the game. We thought about having a higher objective, and that's still to be debated upon. But things like doors which are locked and unlocked and you have to open sounds like a very fun mechanic. And it shouldn't be too hard because it is a binary open or shut state. The other thing that we looked at was health. And if you look at any first-person shooter game, there's a split divide between having defined health as a parameter or regenerating health as another parameter. And we thought about this, and I thought about this a lot, and I don't really want to have regenerating health. Now, there are benefits and disadvantages of having regen health. The benefits are typically for fast-paced action games. You don't want to be thinking about your health the entire time, you want to be shooting the other players. That's well and good, but for a horror-style genre, if the user doesn't have to think about staying alive, it very much contradicts as a sort of a juxtaposition or of what the game is about, because on one hand you're trying to survive against a zombie epidemic, and on the other hand you're not giving a toss about your health. So we're very much looking at having a defined health value, and that becoming decreased as you're attacked. Now, the good thing with this is the idea of regeneration or revival. In games such as Call of Duty, revival is very much you revive your ally, and as long as you survive, the game carries on. I thought about this, and I decided that actually... Sorry, Joseph thought about this as much as I didn't, and we both decided that when you're reviving a player, there should be some form of cost, because it makes the game more interesting. If you invoke a cost every time you revive a player, it becomes up to the other surviving players whether they want to revive the other user. Will that user give them benefits and strategic advantage in the game? Will they be of a benefit to the team, or will they actually just be a hindrance due to the cost incurred? So, we were thinking about this, and I decided that a health cost would be what we would use. And let's say what would happen is when you revive a player, they receive half your health, and you lose half your health. Thus, when you revive a player, you both are weak, but there's two of you. And then this begs the question to the rest of the team, are you an asset to the team? Can you provide things that one person with high health cannot do on their own? And so that's where regeneration comes from. It does two things. Firstly, it means that the user gets reprimanded for being careless, and thus they will be more careful and play more strategically. The other thing it is that it makes them think about the game as a whole. They're not going to start playing for the hell of getting shot or shooting zombies. They're going to be playing for a strategic, more ominous target or goal, and it brings the user back into the game by having revival. So I think revival is something we would have. All users expect to have a second chance in a game. However, this second chance shouldn't just be a get out of jail free card. It should have a cost with it. So what else do we look at? Well, game data, yes, very briefly. We don't want to have dedicated game servers. It creates a dependency which we'd have to maintain, and it also means that it creates the idea of having to build up a portfolio, such as games like Call of Duty and Battlefield. You have a rank and classes which you can develop as you continue progressing in the game. Because we're not marketing this game strongly as other franchises would be, it becomes very much more important about the user playing the game at the current time rather than working towards a target. In this respect, the game data should not be something you build upon. It should be very much localized to the current server which is playing. So the idea of having custom classes is perfectly a valid one, but you shouldn't have to buy these weapons or you shouldn't have to unlock them. They should be available to you at the start and end of the game. And this is very much the end of the gameplay. There will be more to it than this. We've looked at behavioural characteristics of zombies. We're potentially looking at other sort of mechanics, but we're trying to keep things simple because this is a summer project. Backstory. Well, the backstory for Matter is I don't think we're going to develop this anymore. I think it's going to stay as it is for now, but I don't know how much we'll actually develop this. Essentially, a lot of games do the post-apocalyptic settings, and they all have this sort of, we know what's happened to us now, and the future is bright, and we're just going to rescue ourselves. This one is supposed to be a lot more ominous and a lot more sort of despairing, in the sense that there is no setting. You're not told about what's happened in the past. You're merely inferred about things happening, and you're left to be a pawn in the game of chess, with no reason supplied. So you don't know why you're playing, but you are. And so this is mainly what we've been working on over today, and this is just sort of the thought brainstorming, which I'm really excited about, actually. It's going to be a question of coding this in. Development is slow at the moment because it's very difficult to test multiplayer over LAN, because I don't get any issues over LAN, or very, very small ones if I do. And when you work over an unreliable internet connection, these issues are magnified. So all in all, that's pretty much all the changes that have happened. So thank you for listening, and we'll hasten to update you soon.